This one could be a...
Of course.
In this video, we're looking at a really interesting megalithic site called the Osirion. The Osirion was found buried beneath an already old temple complex in a place called Abydos. And this area that was buried is even older than the existing temple, which we already know is quite old. Now, there's lots of other sites around the world and in Egypt that have similar questions, which we'll explore in other videos. But for this video, notice the size of the rocks compared to the people that are standing beside them. These are megalithic blocks of stone. These are not easy to move, these are not easy to cut, and they're certainly not easy to put into place as well as they are here at this site. What really fascinates me and fascinated me when I saw the Osirion in real life were the megalithic blocks. They are so huge and defy any logical explanation as to why the ancients, who were supposedly primitive people, built with such huge, we're talking 2 to 10 to 15 ton block stones. I mean, these things are massive. Not only was I absolutely in awe of the construction and of the size of these blocks and just how on earth they, one, cut these so perfectly, and also how they placed them so perfectly on top of one another to create the complex. But outside of that, it was the way that the blocks connected. There was some amazing joints that you could see connecting these different megalithic blocks together of stone. And you also had to start asking these questions, why on earth were they built this way? I mean, you'll see in some of the examples shown that these blocks are almost curving around some of the edges to then join with another block. It defies any logical explanation. Certainly it wouldn't be more efficient. It would actually make it a lot harder to construct these blocks that way. So why did they do it? Why was this complex built in the first place? No one knows. No one really has any idea what this complex was used for. Of course, there's lots of theories out there, but no one knows conclusively what it was meant for, and no one knows how these blocks got here, how these huge stone pillars and blocks were constructed, cut, transported, and then put into place at the Osirion. It's incredible, the small little cuts and details and smaller blocks placed perfectly in between the larger blocks in very peculiar, bizarre shapes, positions. Why? Why did they do this? Other things to be aware of at this site are these inscriptions, or rather an image embedded into rock somehow, and I've heard different theories of how this was done, but basically the flower of life is etched into the stone at one of the pillars in the Osirion. Very curious as to how that was done, why that was done, and again, the whole meaning and message behind that, very sacred, and also a symbol that represents a much higher understanding of consciousness, geometry, mathematics, and the physics and science and mathematics of the universe. This is a very telling symbol of geometry that showcases a much more intellectual and higher knowledge, higher consciousness level of people that must have built or have been a part of the Osirion complex back in the day. Why was this whole complex put together? How was it put together? How on earth did they cut the stones, move the stones, and then put them all into place? The only logical explanation for me is that they had some form of knowledge, some form of technology, or some form of assistance that we are unaware of, that we don't remember, that we don't know about. Because the way in which the traditional model would look at these complexes that are very old and very sophisticated, that seems contradictory. The further back in time we go, the more primitive things are supposed to be, according to the current paradigm. But all we're seeing is a lot of these examples, like the Osirion, where the further back you go, the more complex the designs become, the more difficult the construction becomes, the more precise the cuts are, the placements are of these megalithic, multi-ton stones. Why? How? These are the questions that we love to ask here in Ancient Mysteries Unearthed, so hit me up in the comments below if you have any other questions, if you have comments, ideas, theories as to what this was used for, how the site was built in the first place, and anything else regarding that. Please let me know in the comments below, like, subscribe, and check out our website, ancientmysteriesunearthed.com, if you want to join the growing research community of curious minds like you and me. All right, stay tuned for the next video. Take care.